In this step-by-step tutorial, we will be using the free JetForm plugin to create a simple contact form, an advanced form with conditional logic, and a crazy multi-step form with calculations and every field available to us. We will also be upgrading to the Pro version to see what that is all about. If you want to support me by creating these free awesome videos for you, then go to wp.discount/jetform. This link is also in the description of this video and in the comments, so feel free to click on that one. And then we are at the website of JetFormBuilder by CrocoBlock. This company makes a lot of great add-ons for your Elementor website. We're first going to start with the free version of JetFormBuilder, and then I'll upgrade to a Pro version, and I'll show you exactly how that works. To get the free version, we scroll all the way down. We go to FAQ over there, and then we have over there a free trial. Click on this link, and then we press over here on download. Here we are. And then we log into our WordPress website. If you're still using WP Admin, that's not a very safe way, so please watch my tutorial about securing your WordPress website, because you don't want to get hacked. Then we go over here to plugins, add new plugin. Then we press upload plugin, and then select the file we've just downloaded from JetForm. Press install now. And after that, we press activate plugin. The plugin has successfully been activated. Here you can see on the left side, we have JetFormBuilder. Let's click on it. And then we are at the forms. As you can see, we have no form at all. On the left side, you can see add new, settings, add-ons, form, records, and Go Pro. I'm going to walk you through all these settings one by one, so you know exactly how to create the most amazing forms for free and with the Pro version. Now, the most fun thing about JetFormBuilder is you can also generate one with AI. If I click on this one, you will see that we have 10 requests per month. So describe the form that we want. So let's put in this prompt. I want to have a simple contact form with these fields: name, email address, phone number, text area. All fields need to be mandatory except the phone field, because in conversion optimization, people don't always want to give their phone to your website. Now let's see if we can generate our JetForm with this AI. Press generate. And here we are. We have a name, email address, phone number, and a question. This is really simple, and we're going to create form with this template. Why not? And then of course we can style it a little bit, because I don't think it should all be stacked. This is an interesting title. Let's change the title first to simple contact form. As you can see, we are editing this form inside of Gutenberg. Now, I'm not a fan of Gutenberg. I really like to have a page builder like Elementor or Divi, but we're going to style and tweak this form later on in just a few minutes inside of Elementor, so it's going to be great. Let's start on the top with the title. As you click on the title, we can change it, of course, and on the right side, we can change the field layout. So this is the default layout. Just the way it is like this. You can also change to column. And now the label is placed over the field bar. We can also change it to a row. Then the label is placed in one row with the bar on the left. But for this tutorial, we're going to use the default. Then over here, you can change the required mark. Normally it's a star, so that everybody knows this field is required. But you can change it to anything you want. For example, this, or maybe even an emoticon like this. So we all know that this is actually required, but normally it's just a star. We can change the style of the star later on in Elementor, so we're all good. Then we can change the field label HTML tag. Normally this is set to default, and default actually means divs. Well, if you're not coding and creating really complex forms, just keep it on default. This is excellent. And then we can change the submit type from default to page reload or Ajax. What does it mean? When someone finishes up the form, press on submit. If you choose page reload or default, then the entire page will be reloaded, so the visitor will actually see that happening on screen. But if you use Ajax, then the page will not be reloaded. It just simply shows a moving arrow, and after that, form has been successfully submitted. I always say when they fill it in, send them to a thank you page. That way it's easier to measure the conversions, but it's also a very nice user experience, so people actually know the form has been sent out, and you can send them a thank you message, something like that. But let's put this on Ajax. Then we have over here, enable form pages progress. If I enable this, you will get a bar on the top that will actually show users when they are in the process of a multi-step form. We're going to use this in the last form we're creating in this tutorial. And then we have over here clear data on success submit, remove input values on successful submit. If you do a page reload, it automatically will be cleared. If we are using Ajax, make sure to clear data on success submit, but you will also be redirected to the next page. So it actually not necessary, but let's keep it enabled just to be sure. Then over here we have the validation. If you click on this one, you can see enable form safety. This should be used when you're using caching, and it will not disable automatically caching for this page, and it will cause all kind of problems. If you have a good caching plugin, it will not conflict. Just to be sure, let's enable the form safety. Then we have over here CSRF protection. This will protect the form from attacks that force authenticated users to submit a request to a website against which they are currently authenticated. So if you're using this form on websites that people need to log in for, then you should really enable this, or else you can just leave it off, it's okay. And then we have the honeypot protection. If we enable this one, there will be an invisible field added to your form, and when it's filled out, probably by bots, then the form will not be submitted to your website. Powerful feature, always keep this on. And then we have over here the validation type. Now, if someone forgets to fill out their name or their email address, they will get a message. If you want to customize that message, which I always highly advise you to do so, just do it once and then duplicate it to other forms. Press this button, go to advanced, and then we edit validation messages. Over here we can change the field is empty. I always change it to something like, it seems that you have forgot to fill out this field. Please make sure you filled out all the fields. And this is way more nicer to talk to your customers or someone is trying to contact you. Also, if the email is not valid, please enter a valid email. For example, this. It seems that there's something wrong with the provided email address. Can you double check this? It's way more nicer. Also with the URL. I think this is way more nicer for our future customers or clients. So you can just copy this and paste it in all these fields and just customize them just a little bit. And then we press update. And after this, we can just fold this one up and also this one. And then we go to CAPTCHA settings. And then of course we want to have some CAPTCHA protection on our website, or else you will be flooded by those irritating spam bots that will flood your website with stupid contacts, forms and commercials about stupid websites that you never want to visit. Let me show you how we can easily add reCAPTCHA version 3 to all your Jet forms in the future. Just use this, use global settings, and then we're gonna enable this in a new tab. And then we are here, we can see on the settings of JetFormBuilder, we see the reCAPTCHA version 3, side key, secret key and score threshold. To get reCAPTCHA version 3 on your website, we just go in a new tab over here and we type in Google reCAPTCHA. There we are. And then we are at Google reCAPTCHA. And then you go over here to the V3 admin console. Click on it. You need to log in with your Google account. If you're already logged in, this is what we see. And if you have websites, then they're already in here. You have 2 sites. Then if you have no sites, then you will see over here the plus icon, create. The label should be the name of your website. In our case, Digitech. Make sure that reCAPTCHA type is score-based version 3 and add a domain. For example, now don't use HTTPS or www. You don't need it. And then we press over here on submit. There we are. Success, we're all set up. So we can just copy the side key, click on here, then go back here to the settings and paste it in here. Copy the secret key, of course. Go over here and paste it in here. Then we can change the score threshold. Now the reason why you can change it is because reCAPTCHA is not the holy grail of anti-spam bots. It's not. And sometimes you will have spam. If you have a lot of spam, you can change this. So let's make it to 0.3, for example, and see how that goes. When you're just starting out, put it on 0.5. That should be great. And press save. Saved successfully. Excellent. Now we can go back to our form. And when I refresh this page, you will see on the right side that it's been filled out. Side key, secret key, all is in there, so all is good. Okay, then we go to the next one, post submit actions. Let's close this. And on the free version, we can add in a new action. Just click on it. When someone submits your post, I would like to send an email, insert update post, register a user, update user, call a hook, a webhook, redirect to a page. We want that. We can add them to MailChimp, get response, save from record, active campaign, or verification. Now, all these things are pretty amazing for a free form, but we want to do two things. We want to send them an email, and of course, press on new action. We also want them to redirect to a page. You can just add them in both. Let's change the send email. Click on the edit action. Then, where do we need to mail this email to? To the admin mail. You can do that. Email from submitted form field or a custom email. Let's reply to the email from submitted form field. So this email goes to the customer and client who actually fills out this form. Then the form field should be their email address. That's the field we're going to use. Then they're going to reply to a custom email, which is your own email or the email of your business. For example, info@digitech.com. For example, just pick an email that they can reply to. Then the subject, very important, should be something like, thank you for your email, for example. Then the from name should be the name of your brand, so your brand. And then the from email address should actually be the same domain as you're sending your mails from, or else there's a 99% chance that they will end up in the spam box of the receiver. So the from email address should always be something like yourdomain.com. And then we scroll down because there is more. Then the content type, well, I should use a HTML because it looks a little bit nicer. And then we scroll down and then we have the content. In the content, you can say hi and then the first name. How to do that? Well, press on this icon over here. Then we have the fields. We're going to use the name. Hi, name. And then we type something like, thank you for sending us your question. We're delighted that you've contacted. We'll get back to you within 72 hours. In the meanwhile, have a great day and take care. For example, just a friendly email sent out to the client. And then, of course, we want to put in our logo. So how do we do that? We're going to use some simple HTML, old school. Image source is, and then these brackets, and then your URL, and then the alt text. For most email companies block your logo because they don't know your domain yet. And then the height of the image so it won't blow up your screen. Go to your media library, search for the logo you want to use. Let's use this one, and it's only 85 pixels height. Press copy URL to clipboard. Then we go back to our form, and then we're just gonna paste in over here our URL. Here we go. And then we have the alt text, which is very important so that we will see those words instead of the image when your email client is blocking them. And then the height, well, 50 is big. Keep it on 50 pixels and just test out the email with yourself. See how it looks in your email client. And then we have attachment. If you have a form field with attachment, we're going to do this in the last form. Then you're going to need to add them in here to mail it to yourself. Press update. And then we have redirect them to page. Let's edit this one. Then we can change to set a redirect to a static page, custom URL, or current page. Normally you would go with a static page and just select the thank you page over here. I didn't create it yet, so let's use the about us page and press update. And then we also want to have a new action. If you want to send yourself an email when people have submitted, you can do send an email, edit it, mail to the admin email or a custom email if you want to have it on some other place. For example, wpressdoctor.com, I can receive this mail. But then what's very important to change the reply to the email from a submitted form field, or else you might receiving those mails and press reply, start typing and send it out. And then after a couple of weeks, you find out that all those mails didn't go to your customers. It didn't go anywhere actually. So reply to the email address field and then all is good. Then you have the subject, and then we have the subject, the from name, and the email address. Make sure that the subject is actually something you can easily recognize inside of your mailbox, that you know, hey, someone filled out my form on my website. So the subject should be new question via the website. So the from name could be contact form page. So you know exactly, hey, this is from this page, a new question via the website. And the from email address should be the email address of your domain, so that it's actually sending out. So info@yourdomain.com, something like this. Then we scroll down and we have the content type. You can make it plain text, or you can make it HTML, whatever you want. And then we can disable auto formatting, just click this off. Then the content should be actually all fields. If you just leave it empty, you will receive everything. But if you want to style it, you can just easily style it a little bit. And it says something like sent from. And then of course you can use some HTML with it. So this should be bold, sent from, and then you have, for example, the name. And then let's make it bold in name. And then we have again, we have their email address over here. Let's use the email. And then we also have their phone number. And below that is, of course, the question. Now, just a quick tip when creating this form, that uppercase really matters. If you don't put in an uppercase when it's supposed to be there, it will not work. So just press on this gear icon and put in the right field over there. This is actually the field we should use over here, and that works great. Now we have a nice formatted email in HTML, and you can actually see all this sent into your mailbox. Works great, just style it and tweak it the way you want it. And then you can also add in the attachment. We're going to do that later on in this tutorial. Press update. All right, then we have what happens on submit. There's an email sent to the client, to the visitor of your website. Then they will be redirected to page, and then another email will be sent. Well, just turn this up a little bit. First send 2 emails and then redirect them to page. It all will be done within a second, but just to make sure it actually works, make sure that this is the way to do it. And then we also have some conditional logic over here. I'm going to show you this in a third form because it's way more interesting than our simple contact form. And the last very important action is to go over here and save form a record inside of your database. Click on this edit action. You can also store the IP address and other request headers. That would be not very compliant with some laws, because then you actually have to ask permission for people. So I would not do this. And if you enable this option, you can see also all the forms being filled in by spam bots. So I don't know if you would like to see those. Let's press update. And then also all the forms will be saved inside of your database. Right, then we can close this one. And then we have the form schedule. You can just schedule your form if you have the pro version. We're going to upgrade in just a second. And then we have the limit form responses. Again, we need to upgrade it. And then over here we have the preset settings. If you enable this one, then the form will automatically be filled if there was another form filled out on your website before. If you don't have that, just disable this. If you do have this, you can use posts. The user itself, when they're logged in, they can actually fetch the information from a logged in user or a URL query variable, and then you can just fill it out in. If the source is a user, so they are logged into your website, and then they're going to fill out the form, then you can use the current user, and the name should be the first name, for example. Email should be, all these fields should be connected. Well, you can connect those two, and then you can restrict the access, and that's safe to do so. And then we can just enable this one. If you don't have users logged into your website and you actually have no other forms, just keep this disabled. It's okay. Then we go to the general message settings. In the form is successfully submitted. Well, we want to redirect people to a thank you page. So what will they see until the redirect has been loaded? Well, I would say we do it like submitted redirecting you. So you click on it, because we're using Ajax, you just quickly see a green box which says submitted redirecting. And then you get on the redirection page which says thank you very much, etc. Submit failed. Well, submit failed, something went wrong, for example. And then we have a validation met error, which says something like this. Please check all fields. It seems that there was an error somewhere. And then we have the CAPTCHA validation field. Well, you get the point. You can change all these texts to something really nicer for people to interact with your form. After this, we press update, and then all the settings on the right side, we have talked about it and set them up the right way. So congratulations. So for the next step, I want to show you how to create a really simple contact form without using the generation from AI, because you will learn more if we do it manually. So we go over here, we're going to click on this one and we press on delete. And I'm going to delete all these fields inside of this form because I want to show you how to create it manually. Now we have a simple contact form with no fields. What do? We press on this plus icon over here and we're going to click on browse all. And then on the left side, you can see JetForm fields. We have all the fields available that we need to create a really simple form. All right, so the first thing you want to drag over there is, of course, a simple text field for the name. So drag and drop it over here. The first thing we see is this new bar appearing, and also on the right side, all kind of options. I'm gonna walk you through them one by one. The first button, if you click it, you can transform this field to any kind of field that you want. Very useful. Gonna show you all of them on the next forms. Then this one you can drag and drop it just with Gutenberg. Very simple. Also with these buttons, move it down or up inside of your form. Then you can make it mandatory for people to fill it in. Great. Then you can copy the name of this field. You don't want to copy it right now, but we're going to change the field name to name. And then over here we have this broom icon, and if you click on it, you can sanitize values. What does it mean? Well, for example, with an email address, you cannot fill in like stars or brackets or all these kind of things. You don't want people to fill it in over there. So if you want to use it, you can just press on sanitize text, and then only this field can be filled in with text. No numbers, no special characters, only pure text. So that can be very useful. We're going to select this one, and then over here on the options, you can copy this field, duplicate it, add before, after, group, lock it, rename, create a pattern, move to, or delete this entire field. And on the right side, we need to fill in all these labels. The first one is the field label. So that's actually the thing people will see when they open up your form. We can type, for example, your name. Then the form field label is just for you and me on the back end, so that's great. And then we have over here a field description, which is optional to fill in if you have certain questions that people need to have some kind of information. You can fill it in over here. For example, this time you can call it, we would like to know your name. But in this simple contact form, it's not necessary. So I'm just going to leave it empty. Then we scroll down and we have default values. Now this is a very powerful option in a free form builder, which I really like. If you click on the default value over here from the database icon, you can use a preset. Now this means when people are logged into your website, they are existing users, you can actually pre-fill the name field. So press on source, we're gonna use the user, then the get user ID from current user, queried user, or URL query variable. I would say current user, of course. And then the field first name or last name should be filled in over there. Press update. And then we have a default value in here. If they are logged in, you can actually see that their name appearing in your contact form. Now, if you say, my visitors from my website never log in to my website, I don't need this, just leave it empty, that's fine. But on the default values, you can also click on this wrench icon, and then you can also add in the current date or the minutes or the days, months, and years. Can be useful in other fields. We're not going to use it right now. If we then scroll down, you can also use condition depending values. It goes a bit far for a single contact form, but I'm still going to explain it to you. If you press edit and we have the value, again, we can fill it all in from the database, like the user, and then we have the current user, for example, their first name. From your website, it will be filled in automatically, but it will only be done if the field is equal, not equal, empty, greater than, and then all these things, and then they can have a value to compare it with. So for example, their last name. Well, you can use it for another different kind of fields, but it's all possible within this free plugin, and that's very extensive. On a simple contact form, you don't need this. So we're going to press on this trash icon, delete it, and also delete all of this, or just press cancel. Then we scroll further down and we go to the field. The field type right now is text, and you can click on it and change it to email, URL, tel, or password. We're going to use a text because it's their name. Then we can insert a minimum length. So for example, you don't want just one letter. You want minimum for 3 letters to be received in there, and maximum, I would say 50 letters for a name. That should be more than enough. Then we can also set a input mask. For this field, this is not very logical, but later on when we're going to put in email and phone numbers, this is very useful. Then we scroll a little bit down and we go to validation. And then we also have 3 different kind of options. Inherited, it will be from the forms options that we already defined, or you can go to default and then you cannot change anything, or you can go to advanced and then you can just type and change all these things for this field. Really useful. We're gonna put it on inherit and then we go to advanced. If you scroll down, we can give the block a name if you want to do that, and you can also use the placeholder. If I fill in a name right here, for example Matt, this will be shown on the field until you click in the field. It will disappear and then people can fill in their own name. For this field, that's not very logical. Then this option is the Add Previous Page button. Well, we don't actually need this on this form, so we're just gonna turn it off. And then you can change the field visibility and give it a CSS class name. Now you know all these options are actually always the same with every kind of field, so now you know how this works. Now let's add in another field. Click on this plus icon. You can also just type in over here mail, for example, but you can also click on browse all. The next thing I want to know from my visitors is their email address. Now, if you look for the email address, there is no such thing, but there is a text field. So we're going to drag and drop it below this one. And then we're going to give the field name email address over there, and it has to be required. Then on the right side, change the field label to your email address. And then the field description can be empty. That's great. Then we go to the default value. Again, if people are logged in into your website, you can use this one and use the user, current user, and we can use their email address. Press update and then it will automatically be filled in. Then we scroll down and we can change the field type. This time it shouldn't be a text. No, it should be an email. There we go. Then the minimum length. Well, I think the minimum length should be 5 symbols, and the max length, well, put it again on 50 or just leave it empty. That's also great. Now, I don't want this field to go over here, but I want to drag it and drop it on the right side of this one. So then it is next to each other. Below that, I want people to ask their question. So we're not going to use a text field. We're going to use a text area field. This way, it's just a little bit bigger. Now, I want this thing to not go in this group, but I want it to be here. So there we go. Let's change the field name is to question. And then the field label should be, there we are. Also on your email address, we need this one. Here we are. Your question. Then this time we cannot use a default value, so we're going to leave it empty. Then we can choose the minimum length and the max length. I would go with a max length of, I don't know, 1,000 symbols. If you get questions that are very long, just remove this max length, or else just keep it like this and you should be good. Validation, again, really great. Then the last thing we're going to do is change the submit button. If you click on it on the right side, you can change the field label. So for example, send it. Or, yes, I want answers. You can do anything you want in here, but let's keep it on submit. All right, then we press update. Now let's put this form on our website. It's pretty easy. Go back to all posts. There's a shortcode in here. You can use it if you don't use Elementor. In our case, we can just use the Elementor widget. So we go to our pages, all pages. And I go to my contact page, edited with Elementor. I already use this standard form from Elementor itself. So how to add in the JetForm? I go over here to all widgets and I just search for JetForm. Here we go. And just place it inside of this container. Select the form to show. We're going to use the simple contact form. Your name, your email address, and your question. As you can see, the name and email address has automatically been filled out because I am logged into my web shop. The required mark, change it again. These things are all good. Then the submit type, do you want to reload it or use Ajax? Again, I prefer Ajax. Now let's go to style, because in the JetForm you can change a lot of things. For example, the gap before or the gap after. Then we go to labels in here. Here you can change the margin of the labels. Now, if you unlink it, you can just add in a little bit top margin, a little bit of bottom margin. This would be great. So the top margin should be 0. And then on the bottom, I want 10 pixels breathing space between my labels and my fields. Way better like this. And you can also align them in the center or at the right. Change the typography, change the color. You can actually change anything about this form, and it works really great. Let's go to description. Here you can also change all the descriptions. We didn't use one description, but you can tweak and tune it entirely the way you want to have it. And that also counts for all the other kind of fields. Checkbox, radio fields, input fields, calculated range, heading, repeater, conditional block, submit, form break buttons. All these things can be customized within JetForm, and that's amazing for a completely free plugin right now. Let's change the submit button. First, we're going to change the background color to our orange color. Then the text color should be our primary color. Change the typography to primary and also uppercase. There we are. Then we go to the border. I don't want any borders on it, but I do want to change the padding on my button. So unlink it. Then we go on the top, for example, 5. On the right side, I want 25. The bottom, maybe 5. And on the left side, also 25. This looks pretty nice. Let's make it a little bit bigger on the bottom and on the top. There we go, a beautiful, good submit button. And when I have this form, I do not need this form anymore. So I'm going to click on it and I go to Advanced and I go to Responsive, and I'm going to hide it on desktop, tablet and mobile. Press update. If we go to Advanced in here, you can see over here, there we have the width. Now the width is set to default, which is actually full width. If you want to make all the labels the same size, then you can choose inline or auto. If I now press update and I'm going to preview my changes, you will now see that all the fields have the same width, which looks way better, of course. But if I want to have your name and your email address next to each other, well, you can actually drag and drop it like we did it in the beginning, but then you can create a group. There is another way which is actually better. If you just press on this plus icon, you can add in a column. There we go. And then I want a 50-50 column. Then I can just drag this input label in here. Oh, stop. There we go. And also the email address, just drag it into here. There we go. And now it's 50-50, which is way better, of course. And then we just put on this one, drag it and put it all the way down here. No, not here. I want this to be full size, so I'm going to drag it in there. All right. And then the submit, I'm going to drag it and put it also down there. Now, this is one of the reasons I actually don't like Gutenberg that much, but okay, we'll go with the flow. Press update. If I now go to this page, I go to advanced and I change the width to default, and then you can see that the contact form is actually full width of my container, and it's also perfectly lined out with each other. So that would be the best way to make columns inside of your JetForm. So now you know how to create a really simple contact form protected by reCAPTCHA. Now we're going to create an advanced form, and after that we're going to create a crazy form. So we're going to use every JetForm field available to us, so you know exactly how to create a multi-step form. But first we're going to create an advanced form. And with advanced I mean of course a drop down. So we click over here, we go to all, then we can choose over here a radio field. There we are. Let's put it in over there. There we go. With the radio fields, you can actually create multiple options that people can click on, of course. So if you click over here, you can choose the field options from manual input, different kind of post, terms, meta fields of generate dynamically. It's very extensive, again, for just a simple radio form, but it's really great. So let's choose manual input, and then we're going to change manage items. In here, you can add different kind of options that people can choose from. But first, before you can choose the options, you first need to put in, of course, a field label. So let's add in the label, did you already subscribed? And then we're going to change the options. So we click on manage items in there. And you can add a new option, or you can click on show bulk options. If you click on show bulk options, then you can edit them like this. And this could be useful if you just copy and pasting from, I don't know, some other kind of document, for example. And you can change here 3 simple options, days, months, or even countries. If you're not going to use this one, press back to Options Manager, and we're just going to click on Add New Option. And then the first label would, I already did for years. And the value is, yes, years. You can also put here a number so we can use it in calculations. I'm not going to use it in this form, but maybe in a crazy form. Then if you want to do another option, press Add New Option. And then the label is, I just did. Yes. And then scroll down, add another option. No, sir. And then the value would be no. And we press update. Now we have 3 different kind of options in our form, but you can also populate these options with posts. If you click on post, for example, and then the question could be maybe like, what post did you like best of all our blog posts? For example, it's all possible in this field. For now, we're not going to do that. We're going to use a manual input like this. The next field I want to show you is the advanced choices field. Drag and drop it in here. This is basically also a radio field, but then a little bit advanced with text, images with descriptions, or images even with controls. And this is very nice. Let's select just text. And then the first thing we're going to do is add in a field label. Which video did you watch? And then we click over here, and then you can give it a value. If you're going to give it a value, we can use it as a calculation. Again, I'm going to do this right now. But if you want to change the name of this thing, just click on the name. And then the funny thing is you can only change it in here and not on the right side, which is pretty inconsistent. But let's change it anyway. Also with this one. All right, now we have 3 different kind of options. Now, if you go to the right side, you can also allow multiple choices. And then we press update. Then you will see over here the 3 options that we created. But when you click on it, actually nothing really happens. It looks like that, but it actually does. How to change the visual of this? Just click on the entire module. And then on the right side, you go to here. And then we can see default, text and background, hover on background. I want an hover to be orange, like this. And on checked choice, I want it to be this grayish, for example. Press update. And then when we load in the contact form, you can actually hover over it or just select one, and then it just stays this gray. So now you know exactly that it's been checked. Very important, don't forget this step. But if you want to add more options to this, pretty easy, just click on it and then we press on this plus icon. And then you can just add in another block, or you can click over here and delete them, move them, rename them, lock them. Everything's actually possible. But if you're adding the advanced field, you can also use images with description. So we're going to create the same thing, but now we can also use images inside of it. So click on it, and then when you can see the image, you just press on replace, open media library, select the file you want to have in here like this, and then change the name. As you can see, the dimensions are off because it's a square. Just click on it and go over here and press original, and then it looks way better. Can all do that with all of them. And if we now press update, and then you can see over here the 3 options that we have created. Again, we need to add in a select color, and then you can see that this works just like this. Excellent field, works great. If you want to remove an entire field, just click on the entire field and click on delete. And then the next thing is we go to the checkbox field, drag and drop it in here. Then let's first change, of course, the field label. The question is, how important is link building in 2024? And then we're going to add in some answers. So just click on Manage Items over here, add new options. And the first label is at all. And the value is just important. Add new option, still very important. And the value is still very important. And the next option is, and then we press update. Here we are. And then on our form, this is what you see. It's a multi-select, so you can choose anything you want. If you don't want multi-select, then of course use this radio field. Okay, then I want to show you the date field and the date and time field. Those are actually the same. The only difference is with date time field, you can add in also a time. So let's use the date time field. The thing is, with this field, you cannot change actually anything. Just add in your label, name the date and time for our meeting. That's all you can do actually. Well, let me see how this looks. And then when I'm in Chrome, I can click this button and then you can see you can change the date and also the time on the right side. So that's actually pretty nice. You can select any time of date or days or months, whatever you want. It works perfectly in Chrome. Unfortunately, on Firefox, you won't see the date over here. I don't know why this isn't fully compatible with Firefox, but maybe they'll fix it soon. But hey, who uses Firefox? And then the last thing on this form I want to show you is the switcher field. Just drag and drop it into there. And then we can make a switcher, which is pretty nice. Add in the field label. Did you already like this video? And then we're going to call it turn on the light. And then I press update. And then you have to put in a default value and a value. The default value should be like off, and then the value should be on. So you know exactly what you should put in those two fields. Press update. And then on your form, you can turn on the light. And then that's on. Now what you can do with this switch is make it conditional. So let's put in a field when a person actually turns on the light, they get another question. So how does that work? Well, first we click on this plus icon and we're going to browse them all. We're going to see for conditional block. Here we go. Just drag and drop it below this one. Now we have a conditional block, and inside of this, we can add another question. Like, let's go with a new one, a number field. Drag and drop it inside of this one. There we go. As you can see, we now have a conditional block, and inside is this label which says, how many lights do you want? And then we scroll a little bit down. We have the minimum value of 1 light, the maximum value of 150 lights, and they can step it with 2. All right. Then we go to this block, click on this one, and it's the conditional block. If you show current block, you have no conditions in this block, so we're going to press add new. Show if the field turn on the light, and then we have to choose the operator is equal, not equal, empty, so you can use it for every kind of field that you have inside of your form. So in this case, we're just going to use not empty and press update. Now, let's see how this works. And then when you scroll down, you go to your form and we turn on the light. And then you see how many lights do you want. That's exactly how conditional logic works. And you can do it with any kind of field on your form. It just works easy. I've noticed something strange when you fill this all in and you press on submit and you see this message, enter an invalid email. Trust me, it is not your form. The problem is with this field. And I already escalated to the support of Crocoblock, and I hope they're going to fix it, but for now there is a workaround. Just go into here and check on this label and go over there and make it a field type, just text, and press update. And then it will be submitted and redirected to the About Us page. This was the page that we put in there as a thank you page, remember? So it all works fine now. Next thing we're going to create is the multi-step crazy forms. If I scroll all the way down, I can here add in a browse all. If we then scroll down from the JetForm fields, we go to the JetForm elements. The first thing we're going to add is the progress bar. So we're going to drag and drop it all the way on to the top. Let's add it in over here. Let's add it in over there. Here we are. Start page, second page, last page. Great. Now we cannot tweak and tune this thing over here, but we can do this within Elementor on our page. Now let's add in another block. Click over here and then we go scroll a little bit down. Now then we're going to add in the form page break. Just drag and drop it into here. All right, then there is a button, next, and you can enable it, and you can change the label over here to next step, for example. You can also add a previous page button, but it's not logical to use in here, but maybe on the next step it is. So we're just going to click on here and press on duplicate, and then we can drag and drop this to, for example, down here. And then we can add a page preview button like this. And then we can just duplicate this again. Here we go. Put it all the way down here. Now, very important, these steps need to be added in every time after the new page. So we're going to duplicate it. Here we go. And just drag and drop it below the next step. The first thing they will see in the next step. Also this one, duplicate it and drag and drop it over here. There we are. And again, we're going to duplicate it and put it one more time on the last step of the form. Now on every step on the form, you can see this progress bar. Very nice. Let's go all the way down and we're going to make some calculations. So click on this plus icon. And then we're going to use a number field. Drag and drop it into there because we need a field where people can actually fill in some things before we can make a calculation. So the input field label would be how much does your hosting cost each month? And then we don't have to fill in a minimum and a max value. That's okay. And then we're going to add in another block. Click on this one, add in the calculated field. Let's drag and drop it below this one. Here we are. And then the label is, these are costs per year, for example. And then it's pretty easy. What is the math? Then we have to put in a formula so that it can calculate the actual thing you want to calculate inside of your form. So the total cost per year should be, click on this wrench over there and just use, for example, how much does your hosting cost each month times 12. Just like that. And press update. Then we go to duplicate this field and change it to like this. Let's make it a little bit interesting on the formula. And then we have the price per year, but we also do want to add in how much for our domain. So we do plus, and then we add in the wrench icon, how much for your domain. And then it will be calculated. Now I want these two next to each other. So we go over here. Then we're going to add in, of course, the column. Here we go. Add them in over there. Just use 50-50. We're going to drag this into here. Whoa, stop. And drag this one also into here. Why does it move? Stop it. And the calculation is below this one. Here we are. And then the submit button should also be over there. Great. You can also do this using this way. It might be a little bit easier to drag and drop them all around. Okay, press update. And then you can make easy calculations for all kind of different things. And the possibilities are, of course, endless. You can also combine them with percentages. If you're a mathematical hero, you can create all kind of different calculations. So now on the front end, it looks a little bit like this. It doesn't look pretty good. I have to line this out. So how much does it cost? Well, it costs me only $2.99 a month. And the total cost per year will be this. And how much for your domain? And then it's €5 a year, so that it will be $40.88. That looks great, and the calculation works phenomenally. It just instantly updates, which is pretty neat. Then the next thing I want to have in my form is a color picker. Let's also add it in over there. Let's say, what is your favorite color? And then you can just select your own color that you want to use. Very nice. We also have hidden fields. If you just put them in over there, you can add in something hidden that people won't see, but it only comes through you via the email. And then you can also scroll down, and what else do we have? We have media fields. Very nice. Just drag and drop it in there. And now people can actually upload something to your website. For example, upload your CV over here. And then you can scroll down. You have user access. So you can, well, let not anyone send it up, but only registered users or users who are allowed to upload files, edit posts, or just to anyone. But then, of course, you want to add some restrictions to it. So how many files can they upload? I think 1. The maximum size in MB should be, I think, 2. Then you have the maximum file size message. Allow MIME types. This is very important. Which type of files can be uploaded to your website? Because you don't want anything on there. So for example, we type in PDF, and then you can just click on this one. Anybody can just save it in PDF these days, so that's just no problem in here. Just force them to use PDF. Now just remember, if people can upload things through your form, you need to put them inside of your mail that's being sent to you. How to do that? We go over here to JetForm options, and we scroll down, and we go here to send email. Now this email, edit it. This email is going to the client, so you don't need this one. You edit this email, because this is the email that goes to you, this website owner. Scroll down, and then you can see over here that we have the attachment. Add form field with attachment. And then you just start typing in upload your CV here, press on it, and that's it. Press update, and now the file will be added as an attachment when email out to you, which is, of course, the way it should work. The last field I want to show you is the what you see is what you get field. Just drag and drop it in here. Now, this is just a text field, but now people can use some markup. It's pretty easy, and over here you can change the amount of rows that people will see on default. Now this entire form builder is completely free. Then the question arises, if you can do all these things, which is enough for 90% of all websites, why would you upgrade to Pro? Let me show you. If we go back to our WordPress dashboard, the only thing I really miss from the JetFormBuilder is just a little box here on my dashboard which says, hey, you have this forms and new entries, or you have this amount of entries. That's a real bummer. I really advise them to create that. That would be really awesome. But if you want to see the entries, just go over here to JetFormBuilder and go to Form Records. If you click on this one, you can see that someone has filled in a simple contact form. Its status is an invalid email submitted by Matt and created on June the 13th, which is today. And you can just click on View, and you can see everything that I filled in on this form. There misses a lot of things because I did not fill in the entire form. But this is the place where you can actually see all the forms submitted to your website. Let's go to the settings real quick. Now, there are not a lot of settings on the JetFormBuilder, only enable the development mode. You can see the errors from the form. Could be useful if you're making a lot of calculations and interesting stuff. You can also clear the plugin data after an install. So when you just uninstall it, all the forms and all the entries will be deleted from your database. Then you can also disable the next button, which is actually a really nice feature. If not all the required fields has been filled out, you cannot press next. So that's actually pretty neat. Keep this on. Then scroll to top. Well, if you just press on the next button, it will go to the top again of the form. Really great. Keep this on. And then you have also automatic focus. You can turn this on or off. The rest is actually just integrations of different kind of companies. So payment gateways, CAPTCHAs, MailChimp, GetResponse, ActiveCampaign. And if you want this one, we have to upgrade to Pro, which we'll be doing in just a second. If you go to add-ons, here you can extend the functionality with all the Pro add-ons. I'm going to buy it in just a second. Over here, you can see a lot of different kind of integration, but some of these things I really want to highlight. For example, a PDF attachment. Make the entire form to a PDF. We're going to do that in just a second. You can also save your form progress, schedule your forms, and all kind of integrations with ComfortKit, Stripe, MailPoet, but also limit form responses. Only 100 people can fill in this form if you're doing a contest or some kind. And also user login autocomplete and also the address autocomplete. Enough reasons to actually buy this Pro. If you want to go Pro and you want to help me out, I will be forever grateful. Go to wp.discount/jetform, press enter, and then you won't pay anymore, but I get a small commission, so thank you very much. Then we click over here, buy from $49. Now, when it comes to pricing, this unlimited website deal is actually way better than what I use right now. Just to make a comparison with their biggest competitor, Gravity Forms, this is actually half of their price, costing you yearly $260 for unlimited websites. So just keep that in mind that the pricing plan is actually really nice. And if you're looking for a lifetime deal, well, there is, because JetFormBuilder is part of the suite from CrocoBlock, which is actually pretty sweet. Over here, the pricing at crocoblock.com, you can see that over here the JetFormBuilder is included in all these lifetime plans. The difference is you have 500 activation limit for freelance lifetimes, but you also have the lifetime deal for unlimited project for the rest of your life, and you can get all their plugins over there just for a one-time payment of $1,000. Now that is very interesting. But for now, I just want the Agency Pro for unlimited websites. Press on checkout. I'm just gonna fill all my information in here. And then I press next step. And then you can just download your invoice over here. But what we need is actually to copy and paste this license key. And then we press on go to your account. And then we can just download all the add-ons that we want on our website. Well, let me quickly show you the PDF attachment. Download it. And let's also do the schedule form. Here we go. Then we go over here to plugins, add new plugin. And then we just go to upload the plugins we've just downloaded, like the JetFormBuilder PDF, press install now, and then back to plugin installer. I also want to upload JetFormBuilder schedule forms, press install now, and then we press activate plugin. Great. Also this one activated, and then they are activated. And now at JetForm plugin, we can go over here to settings. And now we can see over here that we have the installed add-ons, PDF attachment, and the schedule forms. And then the last thing we do is we need to activate our license. So we press on activate now, put in the license key and press activate. And then we're all set. And now the neat thing is you can also just scroll down and just install add-on from here. And then the plugin will be automatically installed on your system. And here we go. It has been installed now. Great. Let me show you these 3 pro add-ons and add them to our website. Just go to your forms over there. Then we go to the contact form, which is not simple anymore. And now we also have in here the jet form. If we scroll down, we also have the PDF action. So we press on new action, and then we can change this one to generate PDF. Here we are. Just edit this, and then we can select a template or create a new template. Customize the file name and save generated PDF to your own website. You have first the PDF template. Let's add in a new template. And then a new screen pops up. And here you can just design your entire PDF with Gutenberg, with images and HTML and tags and text and everything you want in here you can create. And using macros, your name, for example, is like this percentage, then the field name, and then another percentage. Really easy to create your entire PDF. And then you can define a file name, which also can contain all your fields and also just some custom things that you're building in. For example, the contract digitag, and then the name of the person.pdf will be the name of the PDF. You need to attach it to the send email action. Confirm it, go to the action. Actually, this is actually the first thing you do. And now we have to create the entire edit action again. So that is just... Now you have 2 attachments, your generated PDF file path and the upload your CV there. So yeah, it's not very logical, because what I actually want to have is to being added to my emails I already had. But with this in mind, you can just create this one last and then you're all good. But this is the way how you can generate an entire PDF to your customers. And then you can also have in here on the JetForm settings, you see here, enable form page progress. And then it displays the progress of a multi-page form, but it will also save it. And then another pro add-on we've just enabled was over here is the form schedule. If we enable this one, we can actually schedule the form to be enabled and disabled at a certain point in time. This is really great, nice features to have in the pro add-ons. But of course, there are a lot more add-ons to be explored within this JetFormBuilder, and I've only shown you 2 of them. In my opinion, JetFormBuilder is really great. If you enjoyed this video, you might also want to see this video where I actually built an entire e-commerce website in a 4 hours long tutorial. I'll see you in the next video.